Welcome to Escape This Podcast, a show that's a mix between tabletop role-playing and escape room puzzles. This, funnily enough, is the final episode of this season.
Funnily?
I don't know. It might be. That's just conversational.
All right.
It's the final episode of this season. After this, we'll be taking a break for like a month, I think.
Of weeks.
Have a couple of bonus episodes, fill it with some fun
Yeah,
content.
when we say take a break, we mean just do other stuff.
Yeah, and also just do all the work required for the next season. But this is the end of season 14, and we have two guests, two new guests, although you may have heard us interact with these guests before if you're a real fan. So welcome from the Drunkard's Walk podcast. Welcome, Matt.
Hello, I'm here.
And Jethro.
I am also here. Hello, humans.
Now, we have been guests before on your show. We've been on twice, once as players and once as, I suppose, kind of like a goal setter.
Prompters.
Do you want to give a
AI
rundown?
prompters.
Yeah. Just I prompters. Nothing A about our eye. Would you guys like to give a rundown for people who haven't listened to the show about what Drunkard's Walk is as a podcast?
Yeah, we'd love to do that. I mean, I can't imagine that there are. It's probably everyone has heard of us. I mean, it's kind of like explaining what water is to people. But I can do it. I can try.
We're as popular as water.
We
yeah.
even have the book of your podcast.
We do. We've got the book.
Is that the Leonard Mlodinow? Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's incredible.
Leonard Mlodinow's The Drunkard's Walk.
That's
This is not what the podcast is about.
Not at all.
Well, but it's based off that, right, Jethro? I mean, we came up with this. Well, I'm going to say we came up with this idea, but it's an idea that has existed ever since Wikipedia has existed. So what we do is we get a destination from a guest, and that was what you were able to provide for us both the times that you were on. So we start on a Wikipedia page that is where we ended the week before, and then we have to get to wherever the destination is that our guests give us, but we can only use the links on the pages. So some people call this a wiki race. Kids do it in school when they don't want to pay attention to their teachers. We thought that this might be a fun idea for our podcast, so we started doing that. But Jethro, your idea was to call it Drunkard's Walk, somehow related to that book, right?
So there's this group called the Skeptic Society, and they do lectures at Caltech back when I lived in LA. And Leonard Mlodinow was one of the guys who did a lecture there. And the idea of a drunkard's walk, which is just a random walk. So the whole mathematical conceit of a drunkard's walk is, let's suppose you and I leave from the same point of origin, and then at every intersection, we flip a coin to turn left or right, and eventually we'll run into each other. So even though we're randomly turning left or right at every possible intersection, we'll randomly run into each other. And that's the idea of a drunkard's walk, which is equivalent to the idea that if you leave a point of origin, you will randomly run back into that point of origin at some point. And that's the whole idea behind the whole ridiculous Wikipedia podcast that we do. But also, I should say that there's a fair amount of adversarial banter where we're trying to find, theoretically, we're trying to find the quickest path between point A and point B. And Matt and I argue about that, and I belittle him, and he argues against me, and hilarity ensues.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes the show work well, is that it isn't like, if it was just like, let's just click and go. Like, as you said, like kids do Wikipedia races at school to avoid work. It's not really that interesting an activity. It's mostly them quietly going click, 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 click. I've done it. But this construction of the ideal path as you play, of like, no. Why would you go to Europe? Europe's not going to help us. No, Europe's going to have a list of European leaders. That's going to get us to Churchill, and he looks like a dog, so that'll get us to dogs. No, I don't think that works. He's the British Bulldog.
You've captured it beautifully.
That was perfect.
That's exactly what it is.
We're going to use that for our promos, actually, I think, from now on.
Yeah, throw it in. Put it in an ad.
Perfect.
Well, yeah, so for people who haven't checked it out, there's an episode with us playing as well as just giving the destination, and it was a lot of fun trying to get to Free Cell, I think it was, when we played.
Yeah,
that's right. So that's a good starting point. Then you can check it all out. And it's been you've had a few guests as well. You've had Karen from Good Job Brain has been on.
Yes, we have indeed. Yeah, and we've had several guests who found us through you. So you talked a little bit about us, and then they were like, "Oh, let's check this out." And they listened, and then they gave us topic suggestions through our. We accept topic suggestions through like a form that you can submit. Anybody can submit, and they came on and we were like, how on earth, like, we don't know you. How did you know
You're
us?
not my mom.
Yeah, exactly. And several of them were like, oh, well, I listened to Escape This podcast. And I was like, oh, that's so great. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely the weird part of podcasting where you're like, oh my God, we're actually starting to reach people who don't know us personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. It's an interesting moment in a podcast's history where you start to be like, I've never met this person.
Exactly. The weird part is when it is just one or two people like that. And they're very devoted and they're lovely. But they're just the only two people that you don't know.
Yeah, I know everyone else. Every episode, when we have guests on the show, which is also every episode, we ask the same questions to all of our guests. So let's get into that now. This is an escape room show. What is your escape room experience? Jethro, did you want to start?
Probably between the two of us as guests, I have the less experience as an escape room participant. Although I will say I thoroughly enjoy escape rooms. I like them. I would say that I'm probably an amateur in that realm. Although recently there have been a couple of escape rooms in the Ann Arbor, greater Metro Detroit area that I've participated in that I've been thoroughly enthused by. Particularly the Decode escape rooms, because they have just a tremendous attention to technical detail, and there's been a lot of like great design aesthetics. So we did one recently for my daughter's 21st birthday, and the best way I can describe it is if Wes Anderson designed an escape room, the attention of detail is equivalent to that. And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Lots of attention to detail. All the puzzles were straight in the center of the wall, and Bill Murray was in the corner saying, "Oh, how's it going?"
Yeah, they were all centered. Jeff Goldblum, Bill Murray, they were all there. No, but like they just had a great, like the designers. We chatted with the folks who put it together, but apparently the owners of the room are like they're carpenters. They have a lot of
oh, lovely.
So one of the challenges for me of escape rooms is there's like essentially a lot of escape rooms just devolved to the point where like, hey, we're translating letters into numbers or numbers into letters, and it's fairly basic back and forth in that kind of way. And these escape rooms were not that, and they were just glorious in the delicious complexity of their puzzles and the architectural detail that they had for what they did, and I thought it was utterly delightful. So again, I've probably done a couple dozen escape rooms at best, but I thoroughly enjoy them, and it's always a pleasure to do them.
Not many people will do a couple of dozen escape rooms and
still
call themselves amateurs.
Yeah, a couple of dozen's good.
Well, I defer, of course, to Matt Hartman, who has far deeper expertise than I in these domains.
Yeah, Matt, what is your escape room experience?
So I mean, I still consider myself an amateur as well, but I have been to many escape rooms. So at one point I had gone to all the escape rooms in Pittsburgh, which is where I'm from.
Lovely.
But at that point there were only 3. So that was easy to do. But I've been to, whenever I would travel for work, I would see if there was an escape room around that I could just do on my own, or if I could talk a couple of my coworkers into it. I had the opportunity to do an amazing one in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at one point that if you've never heard about or seen, it is this amazing like pirate themed escape room. It's one of the top rated ones in the world, and
I haven't been, but definitely know of it.
Yeah, it was mind boggling the types of things that went on in there. But I've done a whole lot of them. I have friends that are huge puzzle people that create puzzles, that run puzzle events. I'm a member of an MIT puzzle hunt team.
Ah, excellent.
Nice.
So we have done that. I've been doing that since 2009, maybe, I think was my first year doing it. And in 2019, we won. So we got to run the hunt in 2020, which was insane. But anytime we would go to Boston to do that, we would go and do escape rooms that were around. And we did what's the place called? Bodeborg.
Bodeborg.
Yeah.
Bodeborg was amazing. We did 5 Wits, which is incredible. And then, in addition to all of those ones that I've done, I have to also give a shout out to Locurio, which is in Seattle. There's a friend of mine that runs Locurio.
nice.
And in fact, the people that founded it are 3 people that were on my MIT Puzzle Hunt team. They're amazing. And I've done, I think they are opening a 3rd room very soon, but I've done their 2 rooms already that are just amazing. And then I had the opportunity probably about 5 or 6 years ago to create 2 escape rooms with one of my friends from this team. There is a local haunted house here called 100 Acres Manor, and my mom was on a charity that they raised money for. She was talking to the people that ran it. They were trying to put escape rooms together, so they hired us to create one that was like this kind of druid based, like in a dungeon with people in hoods themed, and then one that was a like a nuclear reactor themed one. And so we got to actually create 2 escape rooms that were pretty awesome. Unfortunately, they stopped running them after a year because they lost the space that they were being run
damn.
in. But yeah, so I've done a lot of puzzles and I've done a lot of escape rooms, and I hope that you can edit all that out, because now I'm gonna do really poorly on yours,
Yeah.
and it's
We'll
gonna
keep-
look like I'm
We'll
just
keep
terrible.
as much of the answer as befits your skill later on. So the better you do, the more of that answer we'll keep.
Yeah. No,
Great,
I
great.
I look forward to you totally embarrassing yourself on the remainder of this podcast.
No doubt.
Well, then the other element of this show is it's escape rooms in a sort of a tabletop role-playing style. So going reverse order, Matt, do you have any tabletop role-playing experience?
Very little. We tried to do Dungeons and Dragons when I was in high school, and our group got together and we were starting to play it. And we had a dungeon master who had never played it either, and so it all
makes it
kind
hard.
of fell apart pretty quickly. Oh, I should say, at my work. I am currently in a Dungeons and Dragons group that meets once a month to play for like an hour and a half. That's just what we do.
That's so you can get through a
work.
campaign in 4 years.
I mean, it will definitely take a very long time. But it's for like beginners essentially. So
Yeah.
we're all kind of like, yeah, we don't know what we're doing, and then the DMs do know what they're doing. So they are kind of making it easy on us, I think, a little
That's
bit.
nice.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's really hard to get a group of people who haven't played, give them the books and be like, just go for it. I think it's very much a hobby that you need that one person to be like, oh, I'm the one who has the knowledge, and I'm going to get a new group of people to play with me, and then they'll have the knowledge, and they can go find someone else to run games. Like it's you kind of need at least one person who really knows it to make it smooth. And then Jethro, do you have any tabletop role playing experience?
So very very little. I will say that I came of age during the satanic panic of the 1980s. So my interest in Dungeons and Dragons during that time was primarily a vehicle for me to express my disdain for the fundamentalist Christians in my orbit who thought it was a bad idea. So it was always delightful to push against them in that capacity. I didn't play very much of it, though.
Accidentally summoned a demon, had your soul taken, you had to stop.
Sadly, I never reached a point where my soul was collected by anyone. I guess my soul
Damn.
was of insufficient value that the devil was like, I got higher priorities.
Couldn't even waste his time.
But I will say my daughter, who is just starting her senior year of college, has been fascinated by Dimension 20, and the role-playing game therein has tried to rope us into that. So I've gotten a little bit involved through that, but I've not been overly involved in role-playing games. Although I do improv, so I've got zero aspersions to cast to anyone else for their nerdly hobbies, because I do quite frankly the dumbest thing in the world for 30 years. So there you go.
Wonderful. All right. Well, look, I think with all that covered, we're going to get into it. Now, eagle-eared listeners may have heard if I have missed any cuts.
You might have noticed in these intros, I don't normally talk very much, but today I think even less than usual.
Yeah, as you may hear from Danny's sad voice. Danny's quite sick at the moment, coughing, and
I can barely go a sentence in a normal voice without coughing.
there we are. So, for I think the third time on this show, I will be running a room. Still haven't written one that I've run, other than the small one for our million download special or whatever it was. But I'm going to be running the room today. It is Danny's room. We were playtesting it and working on it over the weekend. But this is still a Danny room, but it's being run by me. So if I make any terrible mistakes...
That's why I'm still ostensibly here, giving thumbs up, thumbs down, controlling how things go. But I just may have to run out of the room for a coughing fit every now and then.
Yeah, you'll hear Danny as we go. But
I feel like I look especially grey in our camera right now.
Well, and so I will be taking over and being me and Danny at the same time. No, actually, Danny's taking on some of my role, hopefully linking images.
And we should probably specify, Jethro and Matt, you are going to be merged into one character.
Yes, there will be no Matt and no Jethro, only Methro. Oh no, the worst combination. Well, I don't know if Metro's worse than Jat, to be honest.
Jat, yeah, I don't know.
I feel like either is fine. Yeah.
So yes, so if you ever decide to split up, you cannot do so. But with that being said, let's get into it. You've been to some parties and events in your day. You didn't think the birthday of one of your long-lost high school friends would even register in the top 50. But dang, McKinley Sprinkles has been busy over the years. You got the whole story at the start of the night. Killer stock trading, an app based on a viral meme that sold 8 million times on its first weekend, and then marriage to a person with equal amounts of fortune. Suffice to say, McKinley is loaded in a way that ordinary people can't even conceive of being loaded. Which is why, when they came back into town, their first order of business was to hold a house party for everyone who's ever been a part of their life. You were friends a million years ago, so you made the cut. The house is something. You weren't even allowed on the street without someone checking your name was on the list. Your place would fit into McKinley's place at least 10 times. And that's not including the sprawling lawns in all directions. One of those is decked out for the party. Light shows and pyrotechnics and live musical guests. It's all amazing. You've danced, you've eaten, you've reminisced, and naturally, a couple of hours in, you need to excuse yourself to go to the bathroom. The downstairs bathroom is easy to find, but it's occupied. No problem. A house this size must have 12 bathrooms. You venture around, curious but certainly not snooping, until up on the second floor, you spot bathroom-esque tiles beyond an open door. Ha ha! Great! You hurry in and close the door. It's super dark, so you fumble around for a light switch. Oh wow, that is a lot of buttons for a light switch. One of them must be right. You press on some of the buttons. Whatever you're pressing makes a penalizing buzz. Frustrated, you get in close and force your eyes to adjust. There, one of the buttons does say light. You press it, the lights come on, and you frown in surprise at your surroundings. You're pretty sure this is a bathroom. I mean the tiles. But where is all the bathroom stuff? And here, if you'd like, you can draw a little map for yourself. You've entered through the north wall by the east corner. On this wall, there's a button panel. You think you see another panel down in the southwest corner? And then the east and the west walls each have a towel rack against them. The south wall is just one big window. But that's it. No sink, no shower, and crucially, worrisomely for you right now, no toilet. You groan and turn to leave, but the door handle doesn't budge when you twist it. Damn, you must have accidentally locked it using the keypad, but there's no button labeled door. You haphazardly try buttons at random. Buzz, buzz after unhappy buzz. Until, oops, that was one incorrect input too many, it seems. Because the little screen now sadly tells you that you've been locked out. But that means you're locked in. And you're getting desperate. Forget about the door. Surely some combination of these buttons is supposed to summon a toilet. And you'll have plenty of time to figure out how to unlock the door afterwards. And with that being said, you're free to try and figure out how to find a toilet.
Wow. So just to clarify, Matt and I are no longer individual humans. We share a single body in this escape room experience. Is that
And
correct?
Share a single
importantly,
body
a
and a
single
single
bladder.
bladder.
All right. So Lily Tomlin, Steve Martin, all of me style, where we're begrudgingly sharing a body. Okay.
You're a man with two brains.
God bless you for extending the Steve Martin canon to that reference.
And you got a big long nose.
Yeah.
And you're a
okay,
jerk. You're a real jerk.
You're a real jerk. There are two
no
amigos
jerk,
waiting
yeah.
for you outside.
God, keep it coming. This is a real LA story here. So I feel like there's a towel rack on the west wall and a towel rack on the east wall that we should, at a minimum, investigate, because they're two of the few objects that have been referenced in the room thus far.
Yeah, which one are you interested in?
Yeah, which towel rack do you want to look at first, Jethro?
Let's start with the east.
The towel rack on the east is the kind that usually heats up. A coiled reel of metal that snakes its way from the floor up to waist height or so. It currently has no towels on it. And you can see an image of this, which Danny will send to you now.
Ooh, an image.
Now, for people at home, you can see this image, but Jethro is going to describe it to you.
So this image, it's very snake-like. It's a bizarre image for a towel rack. So I would say that it starts off in the upper right-hand corner and then snakes down and then snakes to the left and then snakes back up and then snakes to the left and then snakes down again and then snakes to the left once again and snakes down before snaking to the right and then snaking down and then snaking to the left and then snaking down. I wish I had better language to describe the snake-like quality of this towel rack. But Matt, do you have any better language to describe the visual that we've been presented with?
No. I would say it's important to note that when you're in my mind, when you're saying snake, this is much like the game Snake that was on my Nokia phone. So it is squared corners, and it looks like a path that snake. Well, not the path that it would be the snake itself, right? At that point,
Yeah.
And it looks like it's mounted to the floor, and kind of these are places where you would hang numerous towels. And I assume. Well, I don't know. I know in the UK, this would actually like have hot water running through it so your towels would stay warm. I don't know if they do that in Australia as well.
I know that they can be heated.
It would be a heated one. Either
Okay.
maybe it's full of hot water, maybe it's full of burning gas.
I
Who knows?
assumed it was just
It's
electricity.
warm metal if it were warm.
There you go.
I mean,
Okay.
it's a striking visual. It does not immediately make me think of anything else, which makes me think that we should probably check out the towel rack on the western wall to see if there's a complementary or more informative visual that's available there.
All right, you head over to the left towel rack, the western towel rack. This one isn't even so much a towel rack as a towel table. It was just more efficient to call them both towel racks, the explanation notwithstanding. Anyway, it has a selection of neatly folded, brightly colored towels. And again, you'll see an image of this. And Matt, if you could describe it for the lovely people at home who should not look at it if they're driving. If you're at home and you can look at it, that's fine. It's linked in the show notes below. If you're driving, you just listen to Matt.
Yeah, that's right. Listen to me. This is the Western towel rack. It has a cowboy hat and it's riding a horse. And,
Howdy, y'all.
That's not really what's happening. I'm sorry. Anyway, so here's what it is. This is a table. Think of a table that you've seen. Imagine it. Think of the
Yep.
4 legs that a normal table would have.
Okay.
This table also has those legs. Now,
Thank
stacked
God
on
you're here,
top,
Matt. You're really clarifying it for the
Slow
people.
down.
I need to paint a mental picture.
Oh my
Stacked on
God.
top.
Thank God you've taken the time to explain the concept of table to them.
I will also
don't
like to point out that this recording, the time I've given you for the recording is fully dependent on things like this. This is what makes an hour-long recording become a 3-hour-long recording.
Oh yeah. Well, sadly, the whole deal between Matt and I is that Matt proposes a hypothesis and I rebut it with extreme enthusiasm. That's our whole deal. So
It's correct. All right.
yeah.
So here's the deal. There are towels stacked on here that are of 2 colors, blue and red.
Mhm.
They are stacked in 4 columns or 4 piles, I guess, as if they were towels. The leftmost one has a red towel on the bottom and 3 blue towels sitting on top of it. Go 1 pile to the right, and you now have a blue towel on the bottom and 3 red towels on top. I keep wanting to say tiles instead of towels. So it's the opposite of what you just of the first pile of towels. Oh gosh, this is so difficult to say. And then our next pile of towels is blue on top, red, blue, red. That's from top to bottom. And then the last pile is going to be blue, blue, red, blue. And they're kind of rolled so that they're stacked on top of each other. We got 4 columns, 4 rows, red and blue in various places.
Perfect. And that is your Western towel rack / table / bunch of towels.
So there are 16 towels, Jethro, and looking at the other towel rack, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't necessarily feel like these towels fit on this other towel rack. I mean, it feels like they should go together because towels and towels, but I don't necessarily see that. Do you?
Yeah, it's not a lunging to mind in terms of a puzzle by which they interlock with one another.
Mhm.
Although, so there was mention of a keypad at
Mhm.
the southwestern corner
Mhm.
that I would love to take a look at.
Did we look closely at the one where we first came in either?
No,
I don't
there
feel
is
like
still
we.
more to look at that one.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I
God.
think we should.
I feel like
I think
that's
we
a
should look
very
at that
clear
first. Yeah.
hint for us.
Yeah, let's look at that because I'm wondering if either of these is going to have like 16 buttons on it or something like that.
This is the northeast panel. There are so many buttons on here. It's ridiculous for a bathroom that isn't, say, NASA's bathroom to have this many buttons. And right now, it's flashing a stern message at you. And there's an image for this as well. That's an image heavy for a room with nothing in it. There are images for most. So Danny will link that as well for you. Jethro, do you want to quickly describe for the people at home who can see this in the show notes
boy.
what this looks like?
So what we have here is a 4x4 panel. So there's a big title block says enter unlock code. And on the right hand side, there are 3 buttons, OK, light, and heat. On the bottom section, there's a button that says start. But in the main section of this, there is a 4x4 matrix with numbered buttons, which start from the upper left going to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the row below that 5, 6, 7, 8, and the row below that 9, 10, 11, 12, and the row below that 13, 14, 15, 16. So in a very predictable order, there are buttons that are asking us to enter what we believe to be the appropriate entry code. Now, I will say that as a 4x4 matrix, this does suspiciously match the towel block in the southwestern corner of the room that we've previously described.
I agree with you, Jethro. And I would also say that I think that this might match the other towel rack as well. Because when you look at the other towel rack, it has essentially 4 rows and 4 columns in it.
Okay.
The top, it starts in the far right and then goes to the left, down, to the left, up, left. Anyway, that first top row, kind of where it starts, would be row 1. Row 2 would be the next drop down that we could get to. Row 3 would be the next drop down we could get to, and row 4 would be that final kind of level that this is on. I'm not saying this is right, but I think I could take this and put it over that grid of 4x4 and get a path that we might need at some point.
I will also say that this is exactly this scenario that makes me glad that I have 3 monitors that I can play with, because I have the towel graphic on one monitor, I have the sort of snake graphic on one monitor, and I have the most recent keypad graphic on a third monitor.
Here's what I'm thinking. We may not need the toilet. We have quite a few towels here. So what I'm thinking...
How bad a party guest are you exactly?
Well,
this
I mean,
is
not
the
a
balance.
good one, but, who's going to know it was me? I don't see any cameras in here. So I'm just saying, maybe we use these towels.
These towels are mostly for decorative purposes. You don't trust that they would absorb much.
That's a bad towel.
It's a decorative towel. It's for guests to not use, but to look at and think it looks nice.
Well, I think one of the things that we can do, Jethro, is look at the red and blue pattern that we have here. Now, I don't know if red is saying use me or blue is saying use me, but we definitely have red numbers and blue numbers if we're to line these up with each other. 13, 2, 6, 10, 7, 15, and 12 are all red line up with the keypad and the red towels.
If we were to take the snaky path of the eastern wall towel rack information, and we were to overlay that on both the red towels and the keypad, we should be able to deduce an order by which those red towels were incorporated. Right?
Yeah, they don't seem to hit all the same places in my mind. It never hits the bottom left corner, which is one of the red. But what we might want to do is look at that last keypad. Or, the other keypad.
So you head down to the southwest corner. It's a small screen with a digital green background and faint grid lines. And there are 4 little round dials underneath. There's no image for this one. Feel free to ask probing questions.
So there are 4 dials located in a single row.
Yes, a row of dials.
Are there any distinguishing colors or marks on these dials?
You try and have a look at the dials to see if they're colored or if they're
notched,
pointing at anything, if they have notches. You can't see any markings on the dial. They look, I suppose, a bit more like a light dimmer, which usually isn't marked in any way.
And can we turn these dials?
You turn the leftmost dial, and as you do, some bars appear on the left quarter of the green screen. The more that you turn the dial, the more bars appear, starting from the bottom and going up. So, I suppose, horizontal bars being added on top of each other. It only goes up to 4 bars before it maxes out.
Mm-hmm.
You check the other dials, and each does the same thing, adding bars from the bottom up.
Okay. I like this compared to our towels to some degree. Although I wish that they all had red at the bottom or blue at the bottom, whatever it might be. So when we turn it, you can only add them one on top of another. I can't add one and then skip one or something like that when I'm turning the dial. Is that correct?
As you turn it, they all add from the bottom up. You see if you overturn, it might start doing different patterns, but no, nothing happens.
What? That wasn't part of it. You're making that up.
I'm saying that it doesn't happen?
No, that it might make random patterns.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's a thing that some things do.
Yeah,
this
doesn't.
Was looking for, and it doesn't do it. I just said it didn't do
it.
Don't you try and correct my correction.
I love it.
I said it didn't do it.
I love it. Each dial does the exact same thing in terms of, as you turn it, it populates 4 rows.
Yes. And by the exact same thing, just to be specific, we'll do it in the next sort of column over. So dial 1 controls the leftmost column, dial 4 would control the rightmost column.
All right, so if we turned all 4 dials up to maximum, it would just be 4 rows of 4 bars, equally potent all the way across.
Equally potent.
So, Jethro, what I'd like to try, just to see what happens here, is to turn the first dial to 1 bar, the second dial to 4 bars, the third dial to 3 bars, and the last dial to 2 bars. and see if that does anything.
And what is that determination based on?
So when I'm looking at the towels, the first column, the leftmost column, I'm calling it the first column, has just one red towel at the bottom. The second column has 3 red towels with a blue on the bottom, but it has, like, if I'm ignoring blue towels as they interfere with this pattern, it would be 4, right? If I throw a red towel in the middle of the third column, it would be 3, and if I put a red towel at the bottom of this last column, it would be 2, which is interesting. There would be 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I just want to try it and see what happens.
You're just assuming that that some of these towels are wrong.
You're basically setting it to the maximum towel for each pile. Is sort of what you're doing. You set it to that. From left to right, you set it to 1, then 4, then 3, then 2, and nothing happens.
All right. So can I make a recommendation that we set it to 1, then 3, then 2, then 1?
Sure. Going by the number of towels.
By the number of red towels per column.
You set it to the number of red towels per column, and nothing happens.
I'm very excited by that. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've got a keypad at the northeastern corner. Have we looked at that?
This is the one that you've got the picture of.
Did we try pressing any of these buttons, like OK, light, or heat? Did we try pressing those buttons?
No, you haven't tried pressing the buttons. You can if you'd like.
Let's give it a try. Let's go press the OK button.
You press the OK button, and the device gives you 3 stern buzzers to let you know that you've made an invalid attempt at using this keypad. I mean, at least it can't lock you out any harder than it's already locked you out.
Right. Let's try the light button.
Bzz, bzz, bzz.
And the heat button.
Bzz, bzz, bzz.
Okay.
Nothing but consistent.
Well.
But we've got the snaky path, which perhaps could demonstrate the order in which number buttons should be pushed.
I have an idea, Jethro.
What's your idea?
On the keypad at the bottom, there's a big long thing that says start, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we start from there and we press the buttons that if I were to overlay the snake towel rack on top of this,
All right.
and I were to press each of the buttons where it turns, I would press the following buttons, which I would like to try to do.
Okay.
Just to make sure that this is clear.
Sure.
I would press 15, 16, 12, 9, 5, 6, 2, 3, 7, 8, 4.
Now, you press those buttons, just the numbers, or is there any other process that you're going through here?
Just the numbers?
I quickly follow upon by pressing the exact same number in sequence that Matt pressed, followed by the button OK.
So, starting with the button start, doing all the numbers and pressing OK, Jethro, you solved the puzzle.
Yay!
It was all you.
I see. Because OK is the one that's okay. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done.
Okay. Thank you.
You follow the long course of the towel rack, pressing the buttons one by one until you reach the OK button at the end. And once you press it, there is a pleasant chime. Danny, would you like to give a pleasant chime?
I can't roll my
Very
R's.
pleasant.
That's so pleasant.
Unlocked, declares the panel. That's great. Though you can't help but acknowledge that none of the buttons say make toilet appear or please unlock this door, but at least the panel is unlocked.
Okay, can we press I guess the light button we pressed and it turned the light on, right? Should we try turning on the heat?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, let's press the heat button.
All right, you press the heat button, and a new message scrolls across the screen. Please input your preset floor tile heating arrangement. 16 of the buttons in a 4x4 grid glow with a yellow backlight, as if waiting expectantly to be pressed.
The numbered 16 buttons, one assumes.
The numbered 16 buttons. Preset floor tile heating arrangement. How are you supposed to know what it's preset to?
All right, so this makes me feel like towels, red, heat. Let's press these buttons.
I love it.
Towels, red, heat. You press these buttons. The buttons turn green as you activate them. And when you're done, the scroll text reads, Heating activated.
I love it.
Looking at the tiles on the floor, does anything seem to be happening to those?
So looking at the floor, it is made of several big square tiles made of some kind of grey stone. At a quick count, it looks like there are 16 tiles altogether in a 4x4 grid of tiles. Looking at them, they don't look any different.
I wonder if they feel any different, Jethro. Should we go and feel a tile or two?
I love it. Let's feel some tiles, Matt.
With the back of our hand, please. We would never use the palm of our
Never
hand.
would we
It's
ever use
dangerous.
the front.
So you wander around with the back of your hand. You can feel the tiles, and the ones that you selected are beginning to warm up.
Mm-hmm.
You make a little path around the room. You visit every square just to check, do your due diligence, and you can't help noticing the bottom left corner square, the bottom left red towel square. It's taking a lot longer than the others to heat up. It doesn't really feel hot at all. And, so's this one over on the far right. The far right red towel tile. You'd go so far as to say neither of them are heating up at all.
That seems like it's working wrong in a wrong way.
When you say the far right, do you mean the of the 4 tiles on the far right, do you mean the second one from the bottom, or is there a different one?
Only the red towel related tiles are even attempting to heat up. All of the blue ones are cold as a winter's babe.
What?
A common phrase. Cold as a winter's babe.
In Australia, we say it all the time.
No, yeah, I figured. Yeah.
Australian. I remember watching Crocodile Dundee and hearing him say that a number of times.
Yeah, obviously.
You call that a winter's babe? This is a winter's babe. Oh, so
I
chilly.
remember that.
There we go. God bless you, Paul Hogan.
Jethro, one of the things that we have not done yet is looked out the window.
That's true.
Oh,
You're
absolutely right. We've totally ignored the window as a source of information. We should look out the window and see what's going on.
Yeah, definitely make sure you've looked at everything available to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You aren't even sure if it's legally considered a window when it takes up this much of the wall. It is one giant floor-to-ceiling, left-to-right pane of thick glass, looking out over the side garden. Nobody from the party is out there, which on one hand sucks because it means you can't wave for anybody to help you, but on the other hand it's a relief because nobody can see you struggle. Instead, you just get a tranquil view. And people at home can see this view. And Danny is just now learning how hard it is to remember to send an image on time.
I forgot.
See? So Danny will link this. For people at home, you can see this in the show notes. But Matt will describe, once he can see it, Matt will describe this scenic view to you. Here it comes.
Okay, now think of a garden that you've seen. All right? Now this looks precisely the same, except for a number of differences, and I'll explain those to you now. In this garden, there's a fence, and on the fence, there are dashes, I would say, almost would look like if you were like filling in a message or something along those lines. It goes 3 dashes, a space, 3 dashes, a space, 4 dashes, a space, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dashes. And then a much larger space, 3 dashes, a much larger space, a dash. And when I say a larger space, these are actually the same width as the pickets in this picket fence. Then it drops down to another line. There are 3 lines total. There are
more
like
dashes.
10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 dashes, a space, 5 dashes, a space, 4 dashes, a space, 3 dashes, a space, 6 dashes, a space, 3 dashes. Then it drops down to the next line, but there's a space here. 7 dashes, a space, 2 dashes, a larger space, 1 dash, a larger space, 5 dashes, a space, 6 dashes, a space, a somewhat larger space, and then 2 dashes. Now, in addition to this, on some of these dashes, it looks like somebody has fired a paintball gun, and the paint has hit and then started to dribble down a bit. On these different dashes, and the dribble down is a
lazy
little
paint
bit
job
longer.
or a lot of bird poop, your choice.
Yeah. Could be. I should also point out that it is nighttime, so you can see the green grass below the fence. You can see the night sky above the fence with the moon, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 stars in the sky.
That's how many stars are usually in the sky.
Yeah, that's there's usually about 12 stars. So there you go. Jethro, I think that there's some significance to where these little bird poo paintball marks are. But I don't know what this is supposed to be cluing us to yet. Perhaps we will know at some point. But
So first of all, there are 3 rows
mhm.
and 13 columns in each row, each column representing the picket fence. And there is space for 3 dashes in each of the pickets of the fence, but each of the rows does not necessarily have a dash.
Yeah, well, I would guess that this probably lines up to some, again, this is a guess, some text somewhere, and these little paint things are going to indicate the letters that we need to take out of that text to get a message.
If only there was some letter or poem that we had encountered thus far that could that we could line up to
Yeah,
use
not
this
yet.
as a cipher for.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if that
we'll see.
exists. But all right, so I don't think we have enough information to use this yet. If you think of something, Jethro, by all means, shout it on out. But I want to look around the rest of the room again just to make sure there's nothing that we've missed. The last time we looked around, we saw the 2 panels, the 2 towel racks, and the window, and then the tiles on the floor that were heating up.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else in this room that we have kind of missed? As we glance around the room again, do we notice anything else?
Well, I'll ask you, is there anything in this room that you've missed?
The only thing that I can see is the door that we came in.
Well, let's have a look at the door that you came in.
There we go.
Feels like a yes there.
The door is still firmly locked, but whatever. You can take all the time you need figuring out how to unlock it after you fix the toilet situation.
Mm-hmm.
The entire time, by the way, you've been standing, hopping from one leg to the other with your knees clamped together. That's how you've looked this entire time. Besides the impenetrable lock of internal steel, the door has 2 small signs hanging from it. Both look homemade, but neither looks cheap.
I insist upon that.
And you can see these door signs. If you could, this is an easy one to describe. You can just read them out for the people at home.
If you find that something in here isn't working, activate what's to its immediate left and or right to compensate. And there's another sign that says, "Can all mess makers stop destroying my tiles with mud? Jealous or something?" Question mark.
All right, Jethro, I have a couple of thoughts here.
I eagerly await all of them.
So the first one is, remember we were being told that some of the tiles were not heating up as they were supposed to?
Yeah.
I would like to use the first part, the first sign here about activating immediate left and right to compensate, to activate tile 14 and tile 11 with the heat so that we can get those things that are supposed to be heating up. How do you feel about that?
So what does that mean ultimately for us?
I'm not sure, but I do know that those tiles in like the bottom left that we're calling it, and then the second one up on the right were not working. So I'm saying the ones to the immediate left and the immediate right of those we should activate in order to compensate, as the sign has indicated for us.
So you go to the heating area with a goal in mind. You've correctly identified that these these tiles on the ground weren't operating, and you want to activate the ones next to them. 14 and what was the other one? 10?
12
and 13.
11.
Yeah, 11.
So you wanted to activate 14 and 11.
Yes.
It doesn't look like you can individually activate those tiles here. The heating is preset to its preset tiles. You can envision in your head what that would look like, but you can't make it specifically heat up that way.
Oh, I see.
What do you see?
Well, kind of. Okay.
What do you
So those 2 buttons also line up with the blue towels that are in these stacks that if they were filled in red, would they would be columns that we could actually make with the dials on the other keypad. So if we were to turn on what is 14, that would be at the bottom of the second column. That would mean that the entire column would be red. And if we were to turn on 11, which is the second one up in the third column, those first three would all be red. Now, the only thing we don't have is the bottom right, and I'm not sure how to deal with that yet. But
Matt, I feel like you're on the verge of solving this, and I don't want to interrupt your genius.
Well, I feel like we want to activate that bottom right one. There's something I'm missing. It's not clicking in my brain here.
To be able to represent that column, the problem you're encountering is there's a red one that's in its second place. And so you wouldn't be able to represent that.
Oh, so it's not on. I see. It's not on, so it's going to be blue. Got it. Okay, so what we need to do, Jethro, is we need to, in that first column, because none of them are turning on, for some reason, I was thinking that when we turned on the ones to the side, it was going to heat up that one. I don't think that's what's happening. What we need to do is just ignore it and say, okay, that's going to be cold. So our first column is just going to be all empty. It's going to be all blue.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
Our second column is going to be all red. Our third column is going to be going from bottom up, red, blue. And then our fourth column is going to be from the bottom up, red, blue, blue, blue. Yeah. So it's just going to mean the pattern changes slightly. Does that make sense?
Totally.
We're turning on the ones that are to the side of them, and then because they're not heating up, we're considering them blue, right? So when we go back to the dials, we're going to leave the first column, the leftmost column, empty. The second column, we're going to turn it up all the way. The third column, we're going to turn up to 3, and then the fourth column, we're just going to turn up to 1.
Man, I get everything you're saying.
Cool.
Is the last column at 1?
No, the last column is empty. Excuse me. The last column is empty. So it's just empty, 4, 3, empty.
You head to the dials and you set them to nothing, no bars, then 4 bars, then 3 bars, then no bars. And once it's set, the screen flashes twice and the bars disappear. In their place appear 3 words. Please stand back.
We stand back.
There's no need to tell you twice. If a machine tells you that you should get out of the way, you get out of the way. The screen... Is the screen shaking? Wait, is the whole wall shaking? A bunch of wall tiles are sliding away, and emerging from the cavity behind, it's a small sink with a built-in cabinet. Okay, so this bathroom is actually a bathroom after all. That gives you some hope there might really be a toilet. This does not appear to be one.
But now, with the combination of towels that don't absorb too much and a sink, come on, we can get the job done.
The sink appears to be too high and and covered in grease.
Well, that's
so
not going to work for the description I have later of it.
It's not too high.
Too high.
All right, so Matt, what we've got here, we've got a fence with some weird ass symbols on it, and we've got a "Can all mess makers stop destroying my tiles with mud? Jealous or something?" ? Is there anything else that we haven't used?
You have a sink. It
You just found this sink cabinet.
We sink
check
in
out
a
the
cabinet.
sink for sure.
Let's look at the sink, for God's sakes.
Do that.
So you have a look. It is a fairly simple rectangular block of a sink cabinet unit. The basin at waist level, a single set of cabinet doors underneath. There's nothing else on top, not even a mirror. Looking closer, there's something in the sink basin. An instruction booklet. I mean, that's gotta help. Except it must have fallen in this sink at an inopportune moment, because it is more than just a little bit damp.
I mean, I feel like we have to look at this instruction booklet inside the sink basin.
Yeah. I mean, I would take it out and just be careful not to rip it apart too much.
You take it out, ripping it to pieces.
Ugh.
No, that's fine. You peel the booklet up as carefully as you can. But it is no good. Most of the pages do tear away and disintegrate.
Yeah, you were joking, but you didn't need to.
You salvage what little you can of the booklet. Okay, there's a bit of a page that mentions the toilet. It says that it and the bath can be activated with voice passwords. Well, that's something. And there's a paragraph here about the shower. Well, it's not voice activated, but does apparently come with an extendable, retractable shower head. So you suppose it just hasn't extended yet? At the bottom of this section, you read the sentence, when extended, further shower model information can be found. The page dissolves into mush. Giving up on that part, you move on to the most intact page, one that describes the spa bath in the kind of language normally reserved for the most self-indulgent of ads. And I believe you can see this self-indulgent ad, which Danny has linked for you. And for people at home, you can see it in the show notes. But I believe, Jethro, is it your turn to... Oh, no, you read the last ones. Matt, it might be your turn to read this out.
It says, our voice-activated spa is the first and last, and that is in bold, thing you'll need for your luxury experience. And then says, bath time has always been known as a true moment of peace and quiet. With each use, you forget the urge to zoom everywhere, always in a hurry. In our spa, the only word you'll say is, wow.
All right. Good to know.
So we've got a bunch of voice-activated stuff, and this thing seems to indicate that the first and last thing you'll need. So I wonder, is it the first and last words of this? Is it just bath time wow?
You shout out bath time wow, and nothing happens.
Okay.
Is there, so you mentioned cabinets underneath the sink. Is there anything under there?
You bend down to check out the cabinet part. The door opens. There are no sneaky locks on this one. And in the under-sink area sits what looks like a wooden test tube rack. It's got 4 round holders built into it, each one with a cylindrical bottle in it. The rack is stuck in place, so you can't pull the whole thing out. But you can read the bottles from here. The leftmost one reads, straw shower gel. Straw? Odd flavour, but you've seen weirder.
Do you call them flavors or do you call them scents? I couldn't be
Probably
sure.
call them scents
know.
rather than flavours. But yes, that is straw shower gel. The next one over says peg shower gel. Okay. The third says dew shower gel. That's D-E-W, dew. And finally, sand shower gel. Okay, rich people have taste that you do not understand.
But that one's real. You can totally have sandy shower gel.
That is true. It helps exfoliate.
All right, so we've got dew, sand, peg, and straw. And you said these bottles are in this holder. Can we move them around? Like take them out, or can we not move the bottles?
So you can pull the gel bottles out, but they are a bit snug. Each one is a very precise fit for its section of the holder rack. And actually, if you try and put them back in, the fit is so snug that they only fit into those same holders that they came from. Each bottle must have some minute difference in shape. So, for example, the one labeled dew shower gel can only go in that third space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They all share the same last 2 words of shower gel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they do.
But otherwise, they are straw, peg, dew, and sand.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Bath time has always been known as a true moment of peace and quiet. With each use, you forget the urge to zoom everywhere, always in a hurry. In our spa, the only word you say is wow. But you said bath time wow, and that did nothing? Is that?
No, yes, you tried the first and last word of that whole block of text, and bath time wow did not summon a bath.
Matt, I am struggling here. We have incredibly beautifully crafted clues that I have no clue how to absorb or use.
We have several things that we have not used. Okay, first of all, we have this fence that has what looks like dashes where letters could go, and then indicators of possibly taking letters out of there. I was hopeful that our message about the Ken all mess makers was going to fit into that, and it does not. The first 3 words do, Ken all mess. But unfortunately,
and then would descend into gibberish if you kept following that.
Yeah, kind of falls apart. In fact, it does. It even starts by giving you call, which I was very excited about. Did not work out at all. So
was that with the white splodges?
Yes, the white splotches,
Gotcha.
because can and all are the first 4 white splotches, the C and then ALL. So I am guessing that I do still think that letters are going to go in here. I do still think that is probably right. But as far as which letters, because none of the things we have
more
so
text
far
is clearly available, so you never know.
Right. Yeah. So first and last thing. So is it first and last letters in some way? Doesn't seem to really work. Except BE works, but then HS falls apart already.
Where were you getting those first and last letters?
Bath time has always been just taking the first and last letters of each word.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first and last letters of each line, Jethro.
So BATHEMENOW. So that's bath.
Bathe me now.
Bathe me now.
Bathe me now. Now, in the playtest, I did scream like Bathema now over and over again, very confused. Bath.
You went through every combination of where to split up those words.
Bath M-E now?
I love the idea of Bathema now being.
You even went bathe men, ow.
Bathe men, ow. It took me much longer. But you shout out, bathe me now. And something will happen when I find it in my notes.
You only feel a little bit weird.
You shout out, bathe me now. A deep vibration shakes the room, the epicenter in the northwest. The wall is moving too, a much bigger section than the one for the sink, because what's coming out of this corner is a huge spa bath.
Okay, let's go look at the spa bath.
Once it's fully extended from the wall, you take a look at the enormous spa bath. You and 3 friends could swim in it, but it's empty at the moment, of course. The only thing sitting in it are 4 cylindrical bottles, each small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. You clamber in to reach them for a closer look. Rafferty's bath salts, tear, says the first. Or tear? Rafferty's bath salts, tear? It's hard to tell. That's T-E-A-R. Rafferty's bath salts, bow, says the second. Or is it bow? It's hard to tell. Then, Rafferty's bath salts, news. Thankfully, that's just news. And Rafferty's bath salts, top. So, getting rid of the repetition of Rafferty's bath salts, you found tear/tear, you found bow/bow, news, and top.
And can we turn the water on anywhere? Is there any faucet or spigot or anything like that?
You try and turn the water to see if water will come out, and it doesn't.
Figures. So one thing I would say about those bottles, and I guess I should ask this, are they sitting in a particular order, or can I pick them up and move them around and mess them up in any order I want?
These ones you could pick up and juggle. You can move them in any order you want, unlike those shower gels that were locked into place.
And it feels like these are going to relate to our shower gels, right, Jethro? Like, we've got 4 bottles, and maybe they can go together somehow, or these can go in a particular order for some way, or be dumped into the shower gel maybe, or I don't know.
You mean the straw, peg, dew, and sand?
That's what I mean, yes.
You do notice that the bottles that you've picked out of the bath, they could fit into the holder under the sink. In fact, they're just a little bit smaller, so each bottle could actually fit in any of the 4 places.
Got it. Okay. So we could actually take the bottle of shower gel out and put a bottle of this in.
And while only 1 shower gel would go into that place, all 4 of these bath salts bottles could fit. Or any 4, not all 4.
Oh, any 4, right. Not like I could take 1 out and put 1 in. I'm not going to stack them or something. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got straw, peg, dew, and sand, and tear, bow, news, and top.
Okay, so here's what I see so far,
Yeah.
and you tell me if you see anything connecting to this at all. Do and tier can both end with drop. Top and straw can both end with hat. Does this mean anything to you so far, Jethro? Do the other ones
It's
have
more
any?
than I have, so God bless.
Rainbow. Um. He said, does peg go with anything? Peg board, news board. I don't know. I mean, that might be nothing. I might just be grasping at straw. Huh? Because it's one of the words.
I see what you did there. I see
what's
what
happening
you did
here. Yeah, it's clever.
There.
News.
News.
Paper? Sandpaper. Newspaper and sandpaper. Okay.
Okay.
So this is paper that connects these ones.
And that
Top.
means that bow and peg.
Yeah.
This is bringing up New York Times connections trauma.
Exactly.
that I faced of like trying to make the purple category work when I never could. All right, so we've got top hat and straw hat, teardrop and dewdrop,
Nice.
newspaper and sandpaper,
Love it.
and then bow and peg. Pegboard.
Yeah, I was, but bow board or bow board doesn't really mean anything to me.
Yeah.
No.
Peg leg, bow leg.
Oh,
bow-legged.
yeah, that could be it.
Peg-legged, bow-legged.
Yeah.
Peg
Yeah,
leg,
that's
like
it.
a pirate, bow leg, like someone who needs more vitamin D.
Like also,
That's
or also like a pirate.
Or a pirate. All right. Well, that seems to make sense. There's a connection for each one. So what do you do with these shower gel? Oh, sorry. What do you do with these bath salts?
We
So I'm gonna
combine
get
with the shower gels, right?
Why don't we combine them? I think. Do you want to combine them, or you want to go take the ones out of the thing and put them in their places?
Yeah, sure, that.
You replace the shower gels with their respective bath salts. And immediately, you hear a whirring from behind and above you. One whirring, it is from behind and above. One of the ceiling tiles is sliding aside, and from the gap descends a dinner plate-sized shower head.
Let's take a look at that. Can we reach it? Can we see it?
You can't quite reach the shower head, but you can look at it. You tilt your head up to see exactly what you've revealed. The shower head itself is a disc shape and so large that you can't see what is presumably the extendable neck behind it, no matter where you're standing. It looks powerful. Dangling down beside the head is a single, delicate chain with a wooden handle on the end.
I mean, I feel like we got to pull that wooden handle.
Yeah, let's do it.
You give the chain a light pull, and you have to jump out of the way as a trickle of water shoots down from the shower head.
Just a trickle. It wasn't actually as strong as it looked.
Probably should have seen that coming. You tug at it again and stick your arm under the water to see what it feels like. Mediocre pressure, great temperature. Well, you don't see a way to change it, so hopefully you don't need any more than that. And one other interesting thing happens as you hold the chain down. The window, that gigantic vista-viewing window, clouds over. Not with steam, with technology. It's turning into a mirror. It must be an automated feature so nobody outside can see you showering. If you let the chain go, the water stops and the mirror becomes a window again. The water pools near your bare feet, or maybe feet with socks. I'm not sure how much you took off. Where is the drain? Maybe like everything else in here, it'll slide into existence when you push the right button. But for now, there's some water on the floor.
So I feel like we should pull the chain and take a look at the window while it steams up to see if the view is any different than when we looked at it without the steam of the shower.
Oh, it's a mirror, right? So
Yeah.
we'll see ourselves.
You pull the chain, you have a look at the window, hoping to see if you can still see beyond it, but instead it is a full mirror. You can see everything that is in the room with you. Yourself standing there shoeless, the sink, the bath, everything you can see through the mirror.
And when we look at the signs in the mirror, do they look, I mean, obviously they look backwards, but does it read as something?
The signs in the mirror just look backwards.
Okay. So there was something about the showerhead model that you could see after the thing was extended, but since it's not extended right now, and because I don't know what we would do with the model number anyway, it doesn't really help us, I don't think.
Well, the shower, I suppose, currently is. I mean, you pull it down a touch. It is extended out from the ceiling.
You can't reach it.
Oh, I see. But we can't see what's written on it from any angle.
Yeah, from where you're standing, looking up at the shower itself sort of blocks your view.
Oh, okay. Then we need to turn the water on and look in the mirror to see what it says on the shower extender, maybe.
Holding the chain's handle to keep the water going, you peer towards the top of the mirror at a spot that's reflecting the extendable, retractable shower neck. And sure enough, there's something there. It's tiny, but you think it's text. It's just a brand name and a serial number. And you suppose that makes sense. The company wouldn't want that covered up. But, oh, wait. It's not all brand name. There's an extra bit written in a different font. It says, "Ignore grassy posts."
Oh, of course it does. Okay. Jethro, I've got good news.
I love it.
Our message about the don't make things dirty, I think, does line up with the posts outside. It's just that some of the posts on the fence, which we didn't mention in the description of them, so for anybody that was trying to solve it by just listening, they wouldn't have even guessed this. Occasionally, posts have a little bit of grass growing in front of them.
We should ignore those, Matt.
Yes.
Why would you not ignore the grassy posts?
Let's take those out of there, and we'll remove those 3 posts, and I think it's going to line up pretty well, actually, now. I think that call thing that I was so excited about is going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
So that means this one goes, so M-A-K-E... Wait, M-A-K-E-R... Oh, yeah. Because then this post goes too. So that's call M-A... that one gets ignored. Can you read the message to me, Jethro? Because I'm not looking at it.
Can all mess makers stop destroying my tiles with mud?
Destroying D-E-S-T-R. Okay.
Jealous or something?
Jealous. J-E-A-L-O-U-S. J-O-S-O-M-E-T-H-I-N-G. Call Master John, I think, is what comes out of this.
Call Master John.
Let's do it. Let's call him.
Yeah. Let's pull out our mobile phone and call our good friend Master John.
Oh, your mobile phones definitely had to be confiscated before coming into this party.
Oh yeah, there's so many celebrity guests they didn't want you to gram about.
What about maybe Master John is the ultimate toilet, and we need to summon the Master John.
You were told that the toilet was voice activated.
So let us
just
summon him with our voice by saying, "Master John, appear, please, that we may use you."
Master John appear is exactly what Danny has written. It's not what I said. I can't remember what I said, but it definitely wasn't that. You hear a gentle hum. In the center of the room, a section of tile rotates and sinks down, creating a hole in the rest of the floor. It's only empty for a moment. Like a glorious sunrise, the gleam of white porcelain ascends into view. The window turns back into a mirror, and at last, you can feel relief. Sweet, sweet relief. Now it doesn't even matter how long it takes you to get the door open. But in an amazing stroke of luck, as you go to press the flush button on the toilet, you see there are actually 2 buttons. One says flush, the other says flush and unlock. You press it firmly. The toilet gurgles and starts sinking back into the floor. You give your hands a rinse in the shower, again wondering where the water is supposed to drain, and you head for the door. It is indeed unlocked. You feel great. You head back down to the party, debating whether or not to chastise McKinley for the backup bathroom being so profoundly weird. But maybe that's what all rich people bathrooms are like, so you should keep your mouth shut. Either way, you join the circle, where McKinley is currently having a conversation. You nod along until you've caught up. They're talking about their extensive art collection. Oh, it's just not the same having a house without a gallery. In fact, I say, why stop there? A proper house should have an entire wing, nay, an entire floor dedicated to modern works. Let me take you on a tour. Sounds awesome. You follow the pack back into the house. My entire second story here is made up of semi-interactive art installations. The first stop I'll be showing you is a critique of Western imperialism with a spotlight on critical natural resource management, all designed to look like an ultra-modern bathroom. Feel free to touch anything you like, it's all totally sterile. Well, you may have peed on some art, but you've managed to escape from this beautiful escape room.
With some amount of dignity.
With some amount of dignity.
I've never been more fulfilled than when at the British Tate Modern Gallery, I accidentally urinated on a sculpture from Marcel Duchamp.
Exactly. But not the one you're thinking.
No, a totally different one.
just a photorealistic little statue of a guy.
Exactly.
All right.
I passed right by the urinal and peed on a painting. That's what I did.
Exactly. Thank you for listening to Escape This Podcast. Don't forget to tune in next week for Podcast This Escape, where we debrief with our guest and discuss the escape room that we just escaped from.